우선 가장 지향하는 점이 나다운 아름다움이라는 면에서 끌리게 됐고요. 그리고
Lovely viewers, welcome back to the channel. Today's story is one that is both tender and deeply emotional. A story that touches on the kind of love that heals wounds the world never sees. We are talking about Lee Min-ho finally opening up about the hidden pain song Hye Kyo carried from her divorce. Pain she masked so well that most people never noticed. His words, "She hid so many pain," have sparked conversations among fans, because they give us a glimpse of what it really means to love someone who has been through heartbreak, betrayal, and loneliness. Sit back, relax, and let's take this slow, because we are about to walk together through a journey of love, resilience, and healing. When Song Hye Kyo divorced, the world reacted with shock. She was loved not only as a beautiful actress but also as a woman who seemed to embody grace and strength. On the outside, she handled everything with the poise of a queen. No public breakdowns, no wild interviews, just a dignified silence. But silence doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes silence hides storms. And according to Lee Min-ho, that's exactly what Hye Kyo did. She hid her pain so deeply that only someone who looked close enough could see it. Min-ho revealed that when he first began spending time with Hye Kyo, he could sense an invisible wall around her. She was warm and kind, yes, but there was a part of her that seemed guarded, like a woman who had been wounded before and was determined not to be hurt again. He admitted that her laughter sometimes carried a sadness, that her smiles sometimes felt like armor. And isn't that so true, lovely viewers? Haven't we all at some point smiled when we were breaking inside? That's why his words struck fans so deeply, because it reminded them that even the brightest stars can carry shadows. For Hye Kyo, her divorce was more than just the end of a marriage. It was the crumbling of dreams she once held close to her heart. Imagine believing in forever, only to watch it shatter in front of millions of eyes. The trauma wasn't just personal, it was public. Everyone had an opinion, everyone had something to say, but very few people stopped to ask how she was truly doing. Min-ho says that this silence, this refusal to show weakness, was her way of surviving. But he also saw how exhausting it was. When their relationship grew deeper, he recalls moments when she would allow herself to be vulnerable with him. Sometimes late at night, she would open up, not in long speeches, but in broken whispers, telling him about the loneliness she felt even when surrounded by people. She confessed her fear of trusting again, her worry that history might repeat itself, and her pain at being judged by the world without being truly understood. Min-ho said he never interrupted her during those moments. He would simply hold her, because sometimes the greatest comfort isn't in words but in presence. Lovely viewers, picture this with me. Lee Min-ho, one of Korea's most admired men, holding Song Hye Kyo, one of the most beloved actresses, not as stars, not as celebrities, but simply as two people, one broken and the other determined to help mend her pieces. Doesn't that sound like the kind of love story we all dream of? It reminds us that love, at its core, isn't about perfection. It's about showing up for someone in their darkest hours. Min-ho admitted that sometimes he worried she would never fully let go of her past. He worried that the walls around her heart might be too high for him to climb. But he also knew he couldn't ask her to rush. Healing takes time and true love waits. Slowly, through patience and consistency, he showed her that she didn't need to hide anymore. He reminded her that she was more than her past, that she was deserving of a future filled with joy. What's even more touching is how he describes the strength of her character. To the world, she was strong because she endured everything with dignity. But to him, her real strength was in her willingness to keep going, to wake up every day and face the world despite her pain. He said something so powerful. She hid so much pain, but love doesn't demand perfection, it only asks for honesty. Those words have resonated with fans worldwide, because it's a reminder that healing starts when we find someone who sees us for who we really are. Lovely viewers, let's pause here and think. How many of us have ever hidden our pain from others? How many times have we said, "I'm fine," when we were really crumbling inside? And how many of us wished we had someone like Min-ho, someone who would look beyond our masks and love us anyway? That's why their love story feels so personal to fans. It's not just about fame and glamour. It's about something universal. The desire to be truly seen and accepted. Min-ho's love became a safe space for Hye Kyo. He didn't try to erase her past. He didn't pressure her to move on instantly. Instead, he walked beside her at her own pace. And isn't that what love should be? Not about fixing someone, but about loving them as they are while gently helping them rediscover their light. Fans have pointed out how Hye Kyo seems more radiant these days, more at peace. Could it be because she no longer has to carry her pain alone? Could it be because she found someone who doesn't just admire her beauty but also accepts her scars? Min-ho himself admitted that some nights she still cries, but now those tears don't feel like weakness. They feel like release. And each time, he reminds her she is not alone. Lovely viewers, imagine this scene. Hye Kyo, after a long day, resting her head on Min-ho's shoulder, whispering the fears she once hid from everyone else. And Min-ho, looking at her not as a fragile woman but as the love of his life, assuring her that her past doesn't define her. That's the kind of intimacy that goes beyond romance. It's soul deep. This story is not just about two celebrities. It's about resilience, about finding love after heartbreak, about daring to trust again even when your heart has been shattered. And for all of us watching from the outside, it's a reminder that love can be a form of healing. Sometimes the scars remain, but love makes them easier to bear. So now I want to ask you, lovely viewers, do you believe that true love can completely heal trauma? Or do you think some wounds never fully disappear, no matter how much love you receive? Do you think Hye Kyo will ever fully be free of her past pain? Or is Min-ho's love the key that unlocks her peace? Let's talk about it in the comments because your voices matter here. And remember, this isn't just about them. It's about all of us. About the way we hide our struggles, the way we smile while secretly hurting, and the hope that one day we'll find someone who makes us feel safe enough to be vulnerable again. That's what makes their love story so powerful. It's not a fairy tale, it's real, raw, and beautifully human. Lovely viewers, if you've stayed with me this far, you know this story is about more than just gossip or celebrity romance. It's about life, about healing, and about how love, real love, has the power to turn even the deepest pain into something beautiful. We were talking about how this love between Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo isn't just a celebrity romance. It's a reflection of something deeply human. The longing to be truly seen and loved beyond our scars. Now let's continue, because the story doesn't end with Min-ho simply noticing Hye Kyo's hidden pain. In fact, this is where their journey becomes even more inspiring, and where the lessons become more inclusive for all of us watching. Min-ho has often been described as a man with charisma, a superstar who seems larger than life. But when he spoke about Hye Kyo, his tone shifted. Fans noticed that his voice carried gentleness, as if he was speaking not about an actress admired by millions, but about someone fragile and precious to him personally. He explained that there were days when Hye Kyo would put on her radiant public face, only to come home quietly exhausted. And instead of expecting her to always be strong, he allowed her the freedom to be vulnerable. That's rare, lovely viewers, because so often the world praises strength but forgets that even the strongest need a place to rest. He said something that touched many fans. Her silence was her shield. She thought if she hid her pain, no one would see her weakness. But love isn't about hiding, it's about sharing. That line alone sparked so many comments online from fans who admitted they too have been guilty of hiding pain behind smiles. People began to share their own stories. Stories of heartbreak, of divorce, of failed relationships, of pretending to be okay when they were not. Isn't it amazing, lovely viewers, how one honest confession from Min-ho could make people across the world feel less alone? Let's imagine this together. Hye Kyo, who once carried her burden quietly, now has a partner who doesn't see her trauma as a flaw but as a part of her journey. And Min-ho, instead of being intimidated by her past, embraces it because he knows it made her the woman she is today. Isn't that beautiful? For so long, women, and men too, have been told to hide their scars, to move on quickly, to be strong. But what Min-ho shows us is that true love doesn't rush healing. It makes space for it. Lovely viewers, let's turn this story inward for a moment. How many of you have scars from the past that you've hidden? Maybe a broken relationship, maybe a betrayal, maybe a moment where you felt like your world fell apart. How many of you smiled through the pain, just like Hye Kyo, because you didn't want others to judge you? This story reminds us that we don't have to be perfect to be loved. Sometimes, the right person will love us not in spite of our pain, but through it. Min-ho has also shared that Hye Kyo's trust wasn't built overnight. There were times when she pulled away, unsure if she could really depend on him. And can we blame her? Once you've been burned, it's natural to fear the fire again. But what made the difference was his consistency. He didn't just say he would be there. He proved it day after day, moment after moment. He was patient when she was distant, gentle when she was guarded, and joyful when she began to open up. Slowly, that fortress of pain she had built began to crumble, not because he forced it down, but because she finally felt safe enough to let him in. This, lovely viewers, is where fans feel their story becomes universal. It's not about being celebrities, it's about being human. Every one of us wants someone who won't give up on us, even when we're difficult to love. Every one of us wants someone who sees beyond the mask and says, "You don't have to hide with me." That's what Min-ho has become for Hye Kyo, and it's what makes their relationship so moving to watch unfold. And can we talk about the glow? Fans have been saying that Hye Kyo looks more radiant lately, as though a burden has been lifted from her shoulders. Could it be that the simple act of not having to carry her pain alone has freed her? Could it be that Min-ho's love has brought back a part of her that she thought was gone forever? Fans believe so. And honestly, when you look at the photos, when you watch the interviews, you can almost see it in her eyes. There's a softness, a calmness, as though she knows she has a safe place to return to no matter how hard the world outside becomes. Now let's bring it back to us, lovely viewers. Because this story isn't just theirs, it's also ours. How many of us have longed for that kind of love? The kind that doesn't demand you to be flawless but welcomes your brokenness. This is where we can all learn from Min-ho's example. If you love someone who's been through trauma, be patient. Don't demand that they heal on your timeline. Create a safe space where they can share without fear of judgment. That's what Min-ho did, and it changed everything for Hye Kyo. And to those of you who identify with Hye Kyo, those of you carrying hidden pain, remember this: you don't have to hide forever. You are worthy of love, even with your scars. You are worthy of a partner who sees your strength and your vulnerability, who doesn't run away when you cry but holds you closer. That's what Hye Kyo found, and that's what you can find too. Lovely viewers, doesn't this story feel less like a celebrity romance and more like a mirror of real life? It shows us that even the most admired people are human, that they too feel pain, and that they too need love that heals. And if they can find it, then so can we. So here's a question for you all. Do you think healing from heartbreak is faster when you find love again? Or do you think it's a personal journey one must complete alone before opening up to someone new? Comment below, because your stories matter, and your answers could inspire someone who's listening right now. This journey between Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo isn't something that can be wrapped up in a few words. It's layered, it's tender, and it's teaching us about the kind of love that not only glitters on the surface but digs deep into the soul. We ended on a powerful question: whether healing from heartbreak is faster when you find love again, or whether it's something you have to walk through alone first. And in truth, this is exactly where Min-ho and Hye Kyo's story becomes even more relatable, because their path reflects both. Hye Kyo had to walk through her pain alone for a long time. Before Min-ho came into her life, she endured nights of silence, the endless weight of public judgment, and the quiet ache of wondering if happiness would ever find her again. That was her personal journey. She had to rediscover herself as an individual before she could even think about rediscovering love. And maybe that's something we can all learn from. Healing isn't about rushing into someone else's arms, it's about making peace with yourself first. But then, when Min-ho came along, his love didn't erase her pain, it didn't magically fix everything, but it gave her a safe place to continue healing. He didn't replace her journey, he joined it. And that's the beauty of their love story. Healing alone and healing with someone aren't opposites, they're partners in the same journey. Min-ho revealed that sometimes when they were together, she would suddenly grow quiet. And instead of asking her to cheer up or forcing her to talk, he would sit beside her in silence, holding her hand. He said that silence became its own form of communication. She didn't need to explain every scar. She didn't need to relive every wound. Just knowing he was there, steady and unshaken, was enough. Isn't that incredible, lovely viewers? To be loved in a way that even your silence is understood. And fans can't stop talking about the way Min Ho looks at her. It's not the look of a man dazzled by beauty, though of course she is stunning. It's the look of a man who admires her strength, who respects her resilience, who knows the weight of the battles she's fought quietly. That's the kind of gaze that makes people believe in love again.